Alright, I'm going to get this build wrapped up in this video. Whatever I get done in this video, that's the end of it. I like this kit, but I'm ready to move on to the next one. I'm going to do some rust work. I've already been doing some of it. I'm using a mix of this Vallejo Model Wash, which looks more like barbecue sauce, but I like its consistency. I just mixed in a little bit of Agrax Earthshade just to make it a little bit browner. And what I want to do on just these bolt details around the metallic parts. So I'm just going to go in and just apply this around them. I want the metal parts to have more of a rust thing going on. I may put some rust around some of the other bolts, but I definitely want to have it on all the metal parts. I thin down some of this rust wash with water. I'm actually going to sponger some on, so it'll just make a slight pattern of rust on the surfaces that I'm doing this on. You can see after a couple of applications how that looks. It's a little bit tide marky, but I'm okay with it. What I just like the look that imparted on that area back there. I'm also going to sponge on some rust all over the legs, these metallic parts, because I think it will, well, I know I will like the way it looks, because I've already done it on this side. I'm going to paint in the eyes. I'm going to start with a layer of Vallejo Game Color Gory Red. Now I'm going to go, or try to, because I cannot see what I'm doing. I'm going to go right to the highlight with Wild Rider Red from Citadel. I may have to go do this off camera because, well, there goes my microphone. Yeah, I'm going to do this off camera. Okay, I got that sorted out. Here's the process. Paint the whole thing with Gory Red. Then paint most of it with Wild Rider Red, and then put a single dot of Fire Dragon Bright in the middle of it. And you get 3 circles of red. I'm going to live with it at this point. Alright, I'm going to start applying some Vallejo Game Color Imperial Blue onto this vision port. I'm going to use this Life Color Rust Light Shadow 2 to do just a little bit of spongering to punch up the rust a bit. I'm not going to go over all the areas that I did with the previous rust, just in a few places to really kind of sell the notion that this is a rusty thing. I'm going to use that same rust color to sponge on a fairly heavy coat of rust all around these pipes. Now these covers over it, I'm not going to focus on those because those are actually going to be Balthazar Gold, but I'll do that last. Now I'm going to use the Rust Light Shadow 1, also from Life Color. Go in with more rust. I think you see the pattern. I'm not going to be quite as complete in my coverage with this color. Now I've switched to the Rust Base Color, and I'll do even less of this. And finally I'll use some Rust Dark Shadow from this same set. I'm going to paint this cover here in Balthazar Gold. I'm going to completely coat the areas where I put on the rust tones with Citadel's Agrax Earthshade. I'll put this on fairly heavily and in a complete layer, let it dry, and then I'll evaluate if I want to put on one more layer. And I'm going to use this Nihilic Oxide from Citadel to just add a little bit of aging to the bronze. I'm just going to put this on right around the bolt detail. Very light fashion like that. I'm not sure if that's showing up or not because the angle I'm at and the light while I'm filming this, I actually can't see what I'm doing. So anyway, you get the idea. I'm going to put it around the bolts, and then I'll just go through and stipple some on with the brush in various areas, and that'll just make that bronze look a little older. Alright, it's still drying just a little bit, but you can see that's the aging effect that I did for the exhausts. Now, if you're wondering why I put the green stuff on the bronze, when it oxidizes, instead of turning a rusty color like the metals will, the other metals, it is a green color. So that's why I did it that way. I also did not put any Agrax Earthshade on the Balthazar Gold because I wanted it to retain some of the metallic shine. You'll see that that's more shiny compared to the rest of the exhaust. I could have put some gloss Agrax Earthshade on there, or some gloss non-oil, but to me, a metallic shine looks different from glossy. So I like the metallic shine, so that's why I left that as it is and just put on the nihilic oxide. We'll start adding in more fluid type stains around these pistons like this. I'm going to use some Agrax Earthshade, and I want to use this because, one, it'll darken things down, but two, it's going to be flat, and I want that to represent old stains. I'll go back in later with some gloss stuff in a little tighter fashion and introduce some fresher stains. Now I use this Vallejo Weathering Effects oil stains, and this has a color very similar to Agrax Earthshade, but when it dries, it's going to be glossy. So the Agrax Earthshade kind of provides a hint of older staining, and this stuff newer staining. So I like to use both to just kind of mix it up a bit. I'll put a little here around this fuel filler cap, or what I imagine is a fuel filler cap, and that'll just kind of flesh out the stains that I'd put there earlier. To start the earth effects, I'm going to use this light brown textured earth from Wilder Weathering Products. Now this is a brown acrylic product that has grain in it, like dirt kind of grain. Now, the way I apply this is I just put it on neat without any thinning to an area, and you can get it on there heavy, you can get it on there light. Now this is not one of the activatable acrylics that you can just put it on, let it dry, and then come back later. So pretty quick after I get it on there, I get my brush, damp it out a little bit, and I start spreading that around, because what I'm putting this on for is just to get some texture that I can then go over with other colors. I'm not too worried about if this color is not really the color I want. What I'm wanting is just some suggestions of textured mud on here. For the next steps, I needed the armor plating to be on, so I went ahead and glued that on. And I just used some Tamiya Extra Thin, scraped away the glue, or the paint rather, from the mating surfaces, glued it on. Simple enough. I'm going to be using this Vallejo Model Wash European Dust, and I'm using this just straight out of the bottle. I'm just going to lightly go over and paint in where I put that textured earth, because I want it to be a little darker than the textured earth. The textured earth is almost a dust color, and I want this to look more muddy, more brownish. So I'm just going to paint this over those areas that I just put the, as I've repeated like 3 times now, as I've put that textured earth on. I'm also going to just put some of this on the lower armor pieces and around the lower part of the leg, just to look like some of that mud has gotten up on it. I don't want this to be super muddy. I want it to look more old than muddy. So I'm just going to confine it down here on the lower areas. Now for the exhausts and these vents up here and these vents here and the gun barrels, the ends of the gun barrels, I'm going to use this 502 Abteilung Starship Filth. And I'm going to actually dry brush it on. I've put some on a paper towel, and I'll just dry brush that on to make them look sooty and stained and things like that. Oils dry brush really well, actually. And the beautiful thing is they give you a lot more working time than acrylics. So you can dry brush them on and go back in and clean up anything you want and streak things through it and do a lot of effects just with oils and dry brushing. If you've never tried it, give it a try. I've actually had to stop making fun of the Abteilung name when I'm referring to it on YouTube videos, public videos, because, you know, I always joke about it. I call it Abelung. I just kind of, I know it's Abteilung, but I just kind of stumble over it just for fun. You would not believe the number of people some of them have been kind about it. Some of them left comments and go, oh no, it's pronounced this way. Others have left comments that I don't publish or have sent me messages just chastising me about, you know, if you're going to be a creator, you need to learn how to pronounce these things. You owe it to your public. And, you know, I'm like, come on, I'm just trying to joke around. So, anyway, it's Abteilung. Think I'm going to call it done. There's a lot more I could do. I could, you know, go all day on more distressing and weathering and mud effects and streaking effects and exhaust effects and, you know, add more layers of chipping. You know, when you've got something that's like this where you can just dial it into what you want, sometimes it can be hard to pick a stopping point. So I'm just going to simply say I think it looks pretty cool, and I'm happy with it. So I'm gonna call it done. I'm especially happy with the way this area right here turned out. This is how I wanted it to look. I didn't think I could get it to look that way. To me, it just looks like really old metal. So I'm real happy with that. I thought that turned out rather decent for one of my models. I never get to the point that what I see in my head is what ends up on plastic, but I think that's fairly close, so I'm happy with that. The rest of it, I'm okay with. But it is a fun kit. If you haven't built a Warhammer kit, this is a great way to get into it. It's not a big kit, and it's not a complicated kit, but there's just loads of opportunities for painting it all sorts of ways. So check it out and give it a shot. The next build in the supporter exclusive series will be, of course, a Machining Krieger Wave 1/20th scale SAFS super armored fighting suit. So I'll be getting started on that here before long, and you should see a video for that 2 or 3 weeks after this one comes out. I'll be doing taking some family time in Oklahoma and Texas around all of this, and so it may delay the SAFS by about a week, but I appreciate your patience. But thank you so much for being a supporter. This is a supporter-only video, so thank you for supporting the work that I do. It's a blessing to me and my family, and I just really appreciate it. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope it maybe has sparked some ideas, or at least given you an interest in maybe trying something that you've not done before. And thank you for watching. And as always, in this hobby, if you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong. Happy day to you, friends. Bye-bye.